Alright, here we go. Here we are, everybody.
Presenting Benny Goodman and his orchestra.
Benny Goodman coming to you live from the Congress Hotel in downtown Chicago. In February of 36, anyway. 89 years ago. 90 years ago, pretty soon. Hey, Heather. Oh, I can make myself a little larger than this, right? Evening, Chris. Evening, everybody. I was having some bourbon. Hey, Diane, Marion over on YouTube. Hey, Timothy, Gladys. Evening, Cindy in Detroit. Ooh, that's strong. Well, it's neat, so it ought to be strong.
Dodging a divorcee, the first number. Benny Goodman
Hey,
and his
Timothy.
orchestra.
Hey, everybody. Evening, KC. Hey, Jeannie. Bridget, Mary Jo. Yeah, Eli kicked some butt on Jeopardy. It was about as good a second place game as you can have. He's got a pretty good shot at being on the second chances one. Hey, Kathleen. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Mom. We're going to have a brand new time travel pub crawl next week. For reasons as seen on television, this is going to be a whole month of time travel pub crawls. I don't know what we'll do on Thursday. Christmas is on a Thursday. I don't know what we'll actually do on that night. Never know how many people are going to be on for these things. Hey, John. Hey, Joanne. It is like 75 degrees in my apartment, and I can't seem to fix it. Figure out where the boiler room is, I guess. Ooh, scotch sounds good. Hey, Lisa, welcome back. You can come back, baby. Mysterious Chicago never forgets. Got a really cool idea for a time travel pub crawl next week that'll be all new. We'll have bartenders and everything. Now, 75 in the house is too much. Someone like walking around in base layers here. I'll do something on Christmas. You know I don't celebrate, so. We'll do something. We'll have Chinese food.
The divorcee successfully and we might say rhythmically eluded. Benny Goodman presents Helen Ward singing The Day I Let You Get Away.
Evening, Janice. Yeah, I gotta be like turning on the air conditioners and opening the windows around here. Hear the L train go by. That doesn't bother me too much. Hey, Paula. Megan, Janice, anybody I might have missed there. Hey, Maureen. It's a whole month of time travel pub crawls. I could kind of use one after today. After this year. Overall, good year. I've had good things happen to me this year. But also various forms of trauma. Hey, Frank. Hey, Karen. Hey, Glenn, thank you. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Gladys. You know, I don't mind more snow, but I don't want more ice. And all that implies. I've about slipped on the ice a while. A couple of times. I also have to be out patrolling for ice. About an hour and a half a day. It's cold. Doing a different Benny show today. This one's called, this episode was called Dodging a Divorcee. We have it on now and then. Usually we do one from January of 36. This one's from February the 3rd. Gotta mix it up a little bit now and then, right? We'll see what the weather's like tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow is going to be a sledding day. Maybe. I don't know. It's a little early yet. Eating, that's harsh. Hey, Florecita. Hey, everybody. Hey, Vicky. Where are my cats at, anyway? They're over in the windows. Oh, Ember's in one window. Oh, here comes Miles, as if on cue. Crazy old Miles. I'm gonna go open the window. That might get you moving. Greetings, Pepperana. Much too cool for 7th grade. Hey, Rachel. Yeah. Yep, Miles the cat. Always wanted to make an appearance. For his contract. But in essence, Miles has been able to come on for a Thursday night. A couple of weeks I was out of town. Then broadcasting from another location. I'm gonna go crack this window. It's too hot in here. Open the window, open the curtains all the way. You guys can, you know how in front they had the ugly naked guy across the alley? It's funny because it's true. Hung out with a woman in Manchester who's from Russia, learned English from watching Friends. And Harry Potter audiobooks. Jeannie, yep, baseboard radiators. And I can't figure out how to get them any lower than they are. There's a very big-ass moon tonight. I believe Kristen's exact words were big-ass, bright-ass. Hey, Elaine. I am drinking some Larceny bourbon. We're gonna let Benny do one more tune here, then we'll get started properly. Welcome along, everybody.
Of the Congress Hotel in downtown Chicago, and his next tune, Lights Out.
I haven't been to the Macy's windows yet. Haven't been by there. Every time I try to get close enough, it's just too much traffic when I get around there. I thought I'd be able to go last Thursday. Nope. Last Wednesday. Sprite cranberry. How is that? Is that like the cranberry winter spice? That seemed... I remember that was kind of disappointing one year. Maybe they tweaked it this year. It was like regular Sprite with LaCroix levels of extra. Baseboard radiators need to be bled occasionally. That sounds dangerous. Let me see here. Okay, yeah, that doesn't look like the kind of thing that I can do. Turn off the boiler, yeah, there's a whole room for that. No, that is correct. It's my favorite thing about Christmas is all the ginger and cranberry stuff that comes up. That cranberry mule flavored water down at Target. I got like a box of that stuff. I'm gonna let Benny finish up this tune. Probably Helen Ward on vocals. Coming to you live from the Congress Hotel in Chicago, right in the very room where we had Mysteriacon last year. This year we were in the Florentine room, quite an upgrade. Here comes Ember. Ember, do you want to come up and say hi, or Miles blocking the way? I got Miles sitting right here. Ember Kitty's down below. Ember has been so good lately. Well, Ember, what did you even knock down right there? Here's the Empress. All right. Well, I'm telling you, she's here. All right. All right, everybody, that is Benny wrapping up that tune. It is time for us to get started properly here on another time travel pub crawl. Next week is going to be a brand new one. This one is just a rarely seen special edition. Here we go, as seen on Jeopardy.
Climb aboard, cause you don't know exactly where or when we'll go. Chicago 1893, or the Gilded Age in NYC. Blast off into outer space, drink till you're flat on your face. From the comfort of your home, so if you puke alone, one day we'll even find that place in France. And don't come crying to us if you pee your pants. Time travel pub crawl. Time travel pub crawl. Time travel pub crawl. Yeah!
I'm going to fast rewind a little bit. I just kind of noticed something, I think. Okay, no, I thought she might have skipped the last one. That's just me. All right, welcome along, everybody. I am Adam Selzer from Mysterious Chicago Tours. Tonight is a time travel pub crawl, as seen this week on Jeopardy. When my brother was a contestant and they asked him about himself, what they chose to talk about off of the list of options he had given them was the time travel pub crawls, where virtual tours we started doing during the pandemic and quickly realized that we weren't bound by time or space. So when we were doing a virtual pub crawl, we could go to any bar from any point in history. We could go to fictional bars. I'm Adam Selzer from Mysterious Chicago Tours, author of such books as Mysterious Chicago, The Book, Just Kill Me, a novel about a ghost tour guide who makes places more haunted by killing people at them, and The Smart Aleck's Guide to American History. It's all the ones that I got in this deck. Okay, like 23 other books or something. So Back in 1915, they found what appeared to be the wreck of a homemade submarine down at the bottom of the Chicago River, named the thing the Fool Killer, and put it on display on South State Street. Now, the current theory is there is really just an electric life-saving boat that went awry. Apparently not much of a life-saving boat, and it disappears off of the record at some point, but we found it. It was in the couch tomb, and it turns out, no, it is not a submarine, it is a time machine. It can go underwater, but it also goes through space. It slices, it dices, also makes julienne fries. So aboard the Fool Killer, we are going to be going around to all kinds of different bars. I thought tonight, we'd kind of start with an old favorite. I put this particular tour together one Labor Day, so of course that means we are going to head on down to the south side. Here we go. Down in the neighborhood of Pullman. Oh, geez, I didn't turn off all of the buttons well enough here. All right, we're going to start that one again. Here we are. This is the neighborhood of Pullman. You could briefly see Johann Hawk's house in that shot, or the house where he lived for a while. So this is the Hotel Florence, the showpiece of the neighborhood of Pullman, built by George Pullman for employees of the Pullman Palace Car Company. Now, most of the time, the employees were not really allowed to drink at the bar at the Hotel Florence. It was the closest thing to a tavern there, but reserved mainly for Mr. Pullman and his guests. So Mr. Pullman was renting apartments to his employees, but then cut all of their salaries by about a third one year, but didn't lower their rents. This led to some pretty massive strikes. Violence ensued. The president sent in the troops against the wishes of the governor. Such things like that just never really go well. But here we are inside of the Hotel Florence. This is what the bar looked like. You might remember that we had a great drink over here, the very far south side. Let's check in with our bartender here. Hey, remember us?
Oh, that's right, the time travelers. Welcome back.
Everything okay around here?
Can't be too careful these days. Hard to know who to trust.
Why? What's going on?
Maybe we should start with a drink. You remember our specialty, the very far south side? You take 2 ounces of whiskey, 1 ounce each of simple syrup and lime juice, half an ounce of yellow chartreuse, if you got it, and top it off with a dash of Angostura bitters.
Got it. But don't have any yellow chartreuse, though.
No one around here does these days. Not since Mr. Pullman cut everyone's salaries by a third. Not that they could drink here anyway. Old Pullman thinks that drink is the curse of the working class.
More like work is the curse of the drinking class, am I right? You go back in time.
I like the cut of your jib. You're all right. I'll let you in on a secret.
Yeah?
There's gonna be a strike.
A strike? Really?
Yep. We even got some guys who came down and taught us all a folk song. Call themselves the Dead Ringers.
Hum,
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 hum. Come gather round, children. It's high time you can. Of the hero named Miles and the devil Pullman. Pullman.
Pullman,
Pullman. We'll march till we drop the gals and the fellas. We'll fight to the death or else fold like umbrella. Ella, ella, ella.
Ella,
Ella, Ella, Ella. So we'll march day and night by the big cooling tower. They have the plan, but we have the power. Power.
power,
Power. So we'll march day and night by the big cooling tower. They have the plan, but we have the power.
Now do classical gas.
They ain't much to look at, but they sure can sing.
Did he say a hero named Miles? Miles is here on the ship, you know.
Ooh, Mr. Pullman wouldn't like seeing a ship like that. It's not a train. You know how he hates competition.
We'll be careful.
You'll be dead. Wait. Do you smell onions? Strike breakers. They're
Strike
coming.
breakers?
You better get out while you can.
You can always tell them by the scent of onions because they tie onions to their belt, which was the style at the time. Of course, the Rex led to the story of the headless horseman of the Pullman strikes down here on 47th and Loomis. We got to get out of here. If there are strike breakers coming, we really got to run. My whistle only does so much good, you know. All right, so we will find ourselves, this is just not necessarily a labor bar, but a good place to hide out down here at 33rd and State, the Cabin Inn. They're never going to come looking for us here because they'd be afraid to be seen here. But not us. The Cabin Inn, also known as the Cozy Cabin, was advertised itself as the oddest nightclub in town. This was a black drag club that operated in Chicago back in the 1930s, featuring such performers as Dick Barrow, who performed under the name Sepia Mae West. Now, there's actually even a photograph from in here. So to give us some of the taste of the style of music that you can see this guy on the clarinet here, here's our pals Mahaley's Grave, everybody.
Hi, we're Mahaley's Grave. Hi, Chicago. So
everybody. Beaming across time and space. All right, I think we might have lost the strike breakers by now. But let's see where we end up next. Oh, okay. Well, we are here on Wells, right across the street from Second City and right by one of the Walgreens that was featured in the Tylenol scare. If you remember that. A Treasure Island Groceries. I know what used to be right there. Uh-oh. I'm afraid we may still be in trouble as far as riots and labor go. This was the site of Kinkle's Saloon back in the 1850s, also known as Klinkle's Hall. Now, Klinkle's Hall was a gathering place for German citizens who lived on the north side. Now, it's hard for us really to get our heads around just how sharply divided things were based on nationality in those days, but frequently the press in the 1850s would refer to the more progressive German immigrants versus the more conservative Irish immigrants. Now, we got to go back to 1855 here. In 1855, whatever party you had been in, whether you were a Whig or a Democrat a couple of years before, was all kind of out the window. After the Kansas-Nebraska Act made everything come down to slavery, the two parties both kind of splintered. And before a new party really emerged, there was several ones that seemed kind of like a flash in the pan, one of which was the Know Nothing Party. And initially, you had people from both sides of the aisle joining up with the Know Nothing Party, partly because they didn't really have a firm platform yet. And it was hard to get a firm platform when you were the Know Nothing Party. They were so called because they were so secretive that if somebody asked what their platform was, they were supposed to say, "I know nothing." But really, beneath the surface, that they were very anti-immigrant, they were very anti-Catholic, they were very anti-Freemason, very big thing at the time. Abraham Lincoln said something to the effect of, when Know Nothing takes hold, I might as well just move to Russia where they don't even pretend to love liberty. So early 1855, there was a riot in the neighborhood called Rotten Row, right around Clark and Taylor, right in the middle of the loop now. It's another bloody Irish riot at Rotten Row, 100 Milesian gentlemen, ladies, and children in a general hunt for the Know-Nothings. Now, the rumor was the Know-Nothings were coming to get them. Now, the Know-Nothings could be a pretty broad class themselves, but Irish immigrants and Irish Catholics were kinds of people they didn't really care for much. They also tended to be in favor of temperance. So in their honor, I'll just have a drink. So one day in January of 1855, there was apparently a riot in Rotten Row, which the Tribune described as a collection of doggeries, gambling halls, and bawdy houses situated on South Clark between 12th and Taylor. Turned out en masse for a general hunt for the Know-Nothings. So this is a hunt that I actually support. These guys were worried that the Know-Nothings were going to come to get them, so they got together. It's what we do in Chicago. So, a few months after this, though, Chicago elected a know-nothing mayor by the name of Levy Boone. He had been a surgeon in Chicago, worked with Charles Volney Dyer, who ended up on the polar opposite end of the political spectrum of this guy, but he was a member of the Know-Nothing Party. And previously, he had been pushing for a lot more cholera hospitals as a doctor, but then in the 1850s, he decided that cholera was really because there were so many immigrants in Chicago. That was not the reason. But as part of his reforms, he ordered all the saloons to be closed on Sundays, which brought the Irish and the Germans together against him and ended up with a riot. Now, Klinkle's Hall was a German establishment. These were a lot of guys who had been fleeing from Germany, or what is now Germany, during the failed uprising of 1848 and 1849. The 48ers were a very big deal in Chicago politics. This was a liberal uprising in Germany that didn't quite work out in the end, so a lot of the major players fled and ended up in Chicago, where they tended to run newspapers like the Staatszeitung, which ran a very strong anti-slavery flavor. So eventually, in April of 1855, there came to be a whole riot that centered around the Clark Street Bridge, currently up over here. Now, at the time, it wasn't like the bascule-style bridge that we have now that just opens up in the middle. It was a swing bridge. You can see there's this thing right in the middle. The bridge would swing around to let ships through. Now, there is a story that during the riots against closing the saloons on Sundays, the mayor had the bridge be open so all the rioters got stuck on it. This is one of the first things people think of when they talk about this riot, but it wasn't reported by any of the original press on it. nobody can find anything about it. Their small profession of intoxicated German and Irish marched with drum and fife to the courthouse square, and collecting a crowd, the police interfered when a general fight ensued. Now, normally in riots of these times, it was the Germans versus the Irish. Like the couple of years later, we had the elections of 1857 when Irish mobs were attacking German precincts because they thought it was going to be too much of an anti-slavery vote. People got killed in the process here. But at this time, they all came together for the right to drink beer. Even 70 some odd years later, when Prohibition had taken hold, Hannah Hanley, the oldest woman voter in Chicago, said she was going to vote for beer to come back because she believed the working man should have his beer if he wanted it. So this was reported quite a bit. Down in Springfield, a much more conservative town, they talked about how last October, in the name of freedom, a mob rose up and stifled the freedom of speech by driving an Illinois senator from a public meeting called to hear his defense of his congressional course. That would be when Senator Douglas tried to defend expanding slavery into new territories and was pelted with produce. The mob was met by cheers from the Journal and its free soil coadjutors, indicative of a healthy state of public sentiment. Yep. Now that the lawless example of the Chicago mob is followed by a Missouri mob, the mobbed October lust are saddled with the blame of the last outrage upon good order. Such are the acts are but the fruit of the higher law teachings of fanaticism. To reference to when William Seward, later Secretary of State, said that the law of the land may be slavery, but there was a higher law that was against slavery. Man, did these conservative people hate that in those days. But in any case, the riot failed to end anything. Mayors only ran a one-year term. Levy Boone was eventually be arrested as a collaborator with the Confederacy, and here is his grave. Here's what I think of his grave. Let's get out of here before any more strikebreakers show up. They were like shooting people's arms off in those days. Where could we end up instead? And now we have ended up on Haymarket, right here at Randolph and Des Plaines, where a recent condo building slogan was "See Red." Too soon? But the Haymarket riot was a riot in support, a rally really, in support of the 8-hour workday, and also protesting the fact that a McCormick worker striker had been killed the day before. They had a permit for this rally. The mayor showed up and said, "It's peaceful, don't bug them." But the second the permit for the rally expired, the cops started marching towards it, pointing guns at everybody. While they did, a bomb went off. Now, they never figured out who actually threw the bomb, but rather than really making any serious effort to try to figure it out, they just arrested several people who had some kind of connection to the rally, many of whom hung out at places like the Arbiter Zeitung. This is, the Arbiter Zeitung was a newspaper, one of the papers started by one of the 48ers, that said, "One thing you can say, they never robbed a poor anarchist of his beer. If we want to frighten the anarchists out, the best thing we can do is close the beer shops." Anarchists, like people who spoke at the Haymarket rally, were in fact very much in favor of beer. August Spies was known to speak outside of this building, once saying that we ought to just blow up the Board of Trade building. Police later said they found some dynamite inside of it, but police would say they found dynamite about anywhere. One of the bigger hangouts was a place called Graf's Saloon, which was pretty near the Arbiter Zeitung. It was over on West Lake Street. One of the bigger ones, though, one that might even still be standing at Clybourne, a saloon with a meeting hall attached, which was a common kind of bar at the time. It was like a bar, but also a place to make speeches, kind of like a bar with an event hall now. But this was a popular hangout with the North Side group called Neff's Saloon. Now, this looks to me like the same building here. It's missing some of the stuff up on the top. But it would have been about this one in the building, which was a known hangout, especially of Louis Ling, who was not actually present there, but was said to be really into bombs and dynamite. Not present at the rally, but the police later said that he would go into this place and just pass out bombs like they were tamales or something. The guy who said that he did that later admitted that he had been paid by the police to say that. He was what they called a paid squealer. But it's a fairly well-documented place. On the inside, we can see where people would have been hanging out. This doesn't look like that much of a den of iniquity to me. But eventually, 5 of the people were sentenced to be hanged, including Louis Ling, who, instead of being hanged, managed to get a hold of a dynamite cap that he bit into the night before his execution, blowing his own head off. But not completely. He lived for about 6 hours afterwards, and even was able to scrawl "Long Live Anarchy" on the walls in his own blood. Not going to be messing with these guys. The other 4 were hanged the next day. The Cincinnati Enquirer's headline was, "At high noon, the law's stern decree." And in the pretty typical of the press at the time, even the more progressive at the time, Chicago Daily Inter-Ocean, their comment was, "Justice is done. Destroying factors of the Republican institutions pay the penalty with their lives." Now, more recently, times have kind of changed, and we now really think of these guys as Haymarket martyrs. They have a monument to themselves. And many of their wives and friends. There's also a whole section of communists over around here. Down at Forest Home Cemetery. All right, well, that's about enough labor. Why don't we just head out to New York and just kind of finish out our night here? Let's head to New York for a little bit anyway. Down in the Bowery area was a place called McGurk's Saloon. At least it was initially called McGurk's Saloon. It was a dance hall in the 1890s run by this guy by the name of John McGurk. But the story went that on the inside of this place, a woman by the name of Bess drank carbolic acid on one of the upper floors, which were operating as brothels. And right after that, several other people started ending their lives in the same place. It got McGurk himself was just the kind of guy who said right away, well, let's just call it Suicide Hall then, cashing in on the notoriety. This is not a place that was known for sensitivity. Now, here's a report of one of the fights that held here. What remains of the left ear shows one method of paying a grudge without appealing to the law. It had been bitten off. The other was cut off just above the lobe, and according to the ethics of the metropolitan banditti, this means that Eat-em-up Jack had once been caught cheating at cards. And across the forehead under the chin, this kind of ties it into the legend of Gallus Mag, a character in New York folklore, who was apparently based on a real person. There's a story that she kept a jar of all the ears she had ripped off. Earliest known source I could find on that was Herbert Asbury, which anytime you see that, you kind of have to assume Herbert Asbury kind of made it up, as he often did. But why don't we check in with Mr. McGurk himself here? So, Mr. McGurk, these are those who say that would be pretty low class.
That isn't why I renamed it that.
Oh?
This isn't a disorderly house. I named it after our signature drink, the Suicide.
The Suicide.
Yes, the boys in the Bowery like to mix the various flavors of phosphate from the soda fountain and call it a suicide, you see.
It's also known as graveyard and swamp water. Is that where it comes from, calling it
Let's
suicide?
say yes.
All right.
Those Bowery boys, delightful little scamps. So I took their idea and combined a bunch of flavors and just mixed in whatever was handy. Vodka tends to mix well with most things, and top it off with some Angostura bitters.
Very classy.
Yes, I run an orderly house, no matter what Mr. Roosevelt says. We keep women off the streets. And I never pushed a girl downhill any more than I ever refused a helping hand to one who wanted to climb.
That's one way of putting it. But you know, guys, I'm getting the idea this place might be a bit too problematic. Maybe we should just run up some strike breakers elsewhere.
I was converted at the gospel tent. I let missions people in here.
Yeah, that's probably... Let's go. You know what we really need around here? What really helps the labor movement, what I really think of when I think of labor? Folk music. Just down the block from the site of Klinkle's Saloon, it's a place currently known as Corcoran's, which once upon a time was known as the Earl of Old Town Folk Club. You see it right there, where it now has the Corcoran's sign. It used to have the Earl of Old Town. We'll go right on in here. I believe Grandma told me mixing all the drinks together was called hoopy water in her day. Here it is, the Earl of Old Town Folk Club. Pretty much as it was at the time, hasn't been fixed up too much. If we move over to the side just slightly, you can see one of their bills. John Prine, Steve Goodman, Jim Post. What great groups they would get in these places. But all right, we needed some folk music about the labor movement, so I guess I will provide one tonight before I get upstage in just a minute. So, all right. Here's a folk song for you. Woody Guthrie was sent to New Jersey when the aureated his brain, and he lay on his back for a decade or more, just dreaming of riding the train. 'Cause he traveled all over the country, spreading the truth and good cheer. And when Woody ascended to heaven, he said, man, what am I doing here? And went doorbell ditching at the pearly gates. He rang the bell and ran like hell up at the pearly gates. St. Peter caught up to Woody as he raced through the circles of hell. He said, God is well pleased with you, Woody. You've done the Lord's work well. But Woody said, up there in heaven, there's not much to protest about. I got some work to do down here, and if you try to pull me back out, I'll come doorbell ditching at the pearly gates. I'll ring the bell and run like hell up at the pearly gates. St. Peter said, Woody, come sing for the angels. In heaven the hoots never stop, and the boxcars are all filled with pillows, and you never get chased by the cops. Well, Woody said, I'm not a sellout. I won't knock on heaven's door till the angels and demons reunion, and nobody's damned anymore. I'll come doorbell ditching at the pearly gates. I will ring the bell and run like hell up at the pearly gates. All right, that should keep the stripe breakers awake, as everybody knows. Nothing scares them more than folk music. Well, all right, everybody. You know what? It's time that I showed you the real clip of the day here. This is actually probably the clip of the year around here. This is a clip of our ship's mechanic on television. Here we go.
Eli Salzer from right here in LA as a post-production manager and a musician, right? Tell me about the very unusual band you created during the pandemic.
So my brother is a Chicago tour guide, and during the pandemic, can't really lead tours, and so he started hosting virtual tours and realized he was not bound by the constraints of time and space, and brought me on to be bartenders from across history, and I very quickly took advantage of that to become a one-man barbershop quartet.
A one-man quartet?
Yeah, I would record all 4 parts and dub myself on top of it.
And at the same time, you're cosplaying as fictional bartenders.
Yeah.
This is a very high-concept tour.
It's very fun.
I'm not even processing how this works, but it sounds great.
Yeah.
Ann Martin is here with us, originally from...
All right, a very high concept tour, Ken Jennings. All right, so we do have a special performance, a very special performance recorded for this. He told me that as soon as he got the call to be a contestant, he knew he'd be recording this because sooner or later, everybody loses on Jeopardy. The Dead Ringers, everybody.
Oh, I was there to match my intellect on national TV against a plumber and an architect, both with a PhD. I was tense, I was nervous, I guess it just wasn't my night. Ken Jennings gave the answers, but I didn't get the questions right. I lost on Jeopardy, baby. Ooh, I lost on Jeopardy, baby. Ooh, well, I knew I was in trouble now. My hope of winning sank, 'cause I got the daily double now. And then my mind went blank. I took potpourri for 200, and then my head started to spin. Oh, I give up, Johnny Gilbert. Just tell me now what I didn't win. Yeah, I lost on Jeopardy, baby. Ooh, I lost on Jeopardy, baby.
That's right, Eli. You lost. And let me tell you what you didn't win. A 20-volume set of the Encyclopedia International, a case of turtle wax, and a year's supply of rice-a-roni, the San Francisco treat. But that's not all. You also made yourself look like a jerk in front of millions of people. And you brought shame and disgrace on your family name for generations to come. You don't get to come back tomorrow. You don't even get a lousy copy of our home game. You're a complete loser.
Don't know what I was thinking of. I guess I just wasn't that bright. Oh, I sure hope I do better next weekend on The Price is Right. I lost on Jeopardy, baby. Ooh, I lost on Jeopardy, baby. Ooh, da 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 da. I lost on Jeopardy. Ow!
The dead ringers, everybody. Eli, you did not disgrace your family, but if you had biffed on that question about the Quad Cities, we would have been having a very different conversation here. But of course, after all of that, we are going to have to be doing some more time travel pub crawls around here. So next week, brand new Dens of Thieves. Time Travel Pub Crawl is going to go to places that were popular with criminals here in Chicago history. And then a week after that, our annual tradition, Time Travel Pub Crawl presents Drink Like the Dickens. We'll be recreating drinks from Dickens and traveling to Dickensian bars, one of which I got to visit in person a couple of weeks ago in London. So thanks, everybody. I'm Adam for Mysterious Chicago Tours. Here we go. Let's put the Benny back on. We're just going to hang out like always. Thanks, everybody. Very much appreciate, following a court case today, if you do take advantage of these little buttons here. Thanks, Rihanna. I'll have to update the Dickens one. I got some cool ideas for this Den of Thieves ones. And a few research projects that I definitely don't have time for. Lori, I haven't fixed up the theme song yet, but I might as well. Oh, Julius, yes, Eli did in fact lose on Jeopardy, but it was about as strong a second place game as you can have. Very impressive. Wished I had him on our trivia team. The theme song seems to be divisive out here. Some people love it, some people do not. It took me like 10 minutes to make that thing, so. Yeah, I wish Eli had won as well, though he told me that as soon as he got the call to be on, he knew he'd be doing that song. Everybody loses eventually. And he's still got a shot. He's got a pretty good shot at being on that Second Chances show. Yeah, more than 5 years now, David. We're almost up to 6. Train sounds like fireworks tonight. I'm so glad you enjoy him. I love May Haley's Grave.
And here's another tune that they'll be playing as long as we dance. Stardust.
Scrolling back a bit. Linda, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to everybody who's been kicking in donations. They're very much appreciated. Who's buried in May Haley's grave? That would be Amanda May Haley. Very interesting Atlanta history character. That's Atlanta history, it's not me. But she was like the local witch. Topic of that I don't know. I do those shows, but I don't really like watch them. But friend James can tell you more about Amanda May Haley than I can. We got to do some more collaborating, he and I, for sure. Hey, Katie and John. Have a good night, Bob. Kathleen, was it Dr. Holton? I'm missing out on it a little bit here.
Helen Ward sings
Are we talking about Margaret Beaumont here? Marita, the larceny is delicious and hit me nice and strong right now. 1 second, I have to look for screws. That could be a problem. I'm fixing up my bathroom, my new bathroom vanity. It was all plain white, but I took out the door and now it's this. But I don't know where the screws went exactly to screw it back on. That could be a thing. That's okay. There's a place in the neighborhood where I can buy bolts and screws. Hey, Bill. Hope your wife's having a good time at the concert. Yeah, I have no idea where my marbles are. That kind of day, yeah. Chris gets it.
Benny Goodman's orchestra and the King Porter's Song.
Mahaley's grave is based out of Carrollton, Georgia, Lori, which is over in western Georgia, the far edge of the Atlanta suburbs, almost to Alabama. You couldn't really call it a suburb, I guess, but kind of close enough. How many basins are needed in my place? Just the one. I'm totally spacing on a Dr. Mary in my stories. Not saying there isn't one. I'm saying I'm totally spacing right now. Thank the larceny. Heather, sometimes I do that sort of thing. Sometimes the Time Travel Pub Crawls list the drink recipes. Oh, Dr. Mary Crowell, Kathleen. Dr. Mary Crowell, the Mad Doctor of Alabama. Crowell. Find her Patreon. Dr. Mary Crowell played on a couple of my albums. I was at her Filk debut in the open mic section, and remember, friend Lena, I'm glad you don't have to go on after that. I was. She played her song Magnus Retail. And I think When Good Men Go Bad. Now, Heather, if I have any drinks ahead of time created for this, most of your dens of thieves did not specialize in specialty cocktails. But you never know. Thanks for kicking in a couple of butts, folks. This is the slow season for me. I don't have a lot of income coming in. I got plenty going out. That's all right, Beth. Around here, we stay up very, 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 very late.
This half hour of rhythm was presented by the Raja Rhythm, Benny Goodman and his orchestra.
I gotta tell you, folks.
And the Joseph Evan Room of the
Last night, I sang Drive by the Cars at a karaoke bar, and somebody asked me, Jenna asked me, do you think that song is about a breakup or about alcoholism? I said, I always assumed it was about a breakup. But then, I knew it first from a Kids Incorporated tape on which it was sung by Gloria, who was played by Martika before she was known as Martika, though it does have that in the credits. Kids Incorporated was a show on Canadian TV, later the Disney Channel, about some kids who have a band. They perform at this place called The Place, which was not unlike that bar I showed in Dumfries on this morning's morning mini tour. So, I got curious, what was the context of the episode in which Gloria sings Drive by the Cars? Was this, they didn't really do breakups or alcoholism. Listening to it now, I can't imagine I thought it was just a breakup song. This is clearly somebody who needs to get their shit together. But I looked up the episode. In the episode, Gloria, a member of the band Kids Incorporated, wants to join a group of cool kids called the Angels and is going through a hazing process in which she is referred to as Slave Gloria and has to walk around with like cat whiskers drawn on her. The band sings Cover Me by Bruce Springsteen as a warm-up. Then, as they watch Gloria humiliate herself, they sing You Might Think I'm Foolish by the Cars. Then, the popular girls tell Gloria that in order to join their gang, she must humiliate her other friends while they are on stage. And she has her dark night of the soul moment deciding whether she should betray her friends and sings Drive by the Cars. Which, it's kind of a dark night of the soul kind of song. But then instead she decides to humiliate the popular girls and joins her friends on stage to sing a version of the Pointer Sisters' I'm So Excited, which I had on the same tape that had Drive on it, with several lines rewritten so that it is about hanging out with your friends, not blatantly a song about having sex. They still kept the I want to squeeze you, please you line, but changed like move real slow to join the show. Hence. In any case, absolutely bonkers, and all 4 of the songs featured were from albums released in 1984, the year that the episode came on. Usually they had an oldie or something in there. One of their better Springsteen covers. One of their tapes had Gloria singing Thunder Road, but leaving out most of the lyrics. Kids Inc. would come on right before the Mickey Mouse Club. The new Mickey Mouse Club. I've moved the recording back a little bit so I could fill you in on the plot of a Kids Incorporated episode. It was bonkers, I tell you. Not sure I actually saw that episode as a kid, but I always got very excited when an episode came on that had one of the songs that was on the tapes. Am I holding up the desk or is it holding me up? I'm not at a desk, This is, I'm actually at these shelves. Place is kind of a mess right now. I've been renovating the bathroom and somehow that makes the whole rest of the place messy. Don't ask me how the economy works. Oh, thanks for the donations, everybody. That's very nice of you. Susan, Spotify Wrapped put my age at 82. But my number 1 out bands were the Mountain Goats and Kelsey Carter. In fact, my top 5 songs were all from Love Made Me Do It by Kelsey Carter and the Heroines. Excellent hard rock album.
They'll be playing as long as we dance. Stardust.
And from the album you can tell the band's story. You can tell what this band is, But I was skewed by all the Bill Evans I listened to this year. I listened to a lot of Bill Evans this year. Bill Evans can get you through the hard stuff. Marie, yes, my TV screensaver is Strange Shadows by Gertrude Abercrombie. Jazz Witch. An okay hair day today. On Apple Music, my number one was Bill Evans by far. On Spotify, the number one artist overall was Mountain Goats. They're a good band for when you're getting a divorce. But the top 5 songs individually were all off of that Kelsey Carter album. Love Made Me Do It by Kelsey Carter and the Heroines. Featuring my top song of the year was Hotel Flamingo. I'm kind of surprised Runaway or Laser to the Heart didn't beat it out off of that album. Great album. Now, they're not that well known. I went to see him and it was announced that the guy from the Struts was going to be the opening act in like a tiny club. That's Mandy Cripp's favorite band, or one of them. But it turns out he's Kelsey's boyfriend. So he played it like a solo set and he stood next to me most of the show at the Cobra Lounge. Debbie, it's alright. It'll still be there in the videos tab. Great new performance from the Dead Ringers. Tomorrow we got Find a Grave Friday. Well, and Spotify is a no-no for many reasons, but, you know, it's one of those many things that I'm also still on, even though it's a no-no. Like, the only place I can shop with a clear conscience anymore is Costco, and this apartment is not big enough for me to shop at Costco.
Helen Ward sings once more. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
But Apple is just not quite as good at its algorithm of what to tell me next. Spotify is very good at that. I need to listen to that band Keys that everybody's talking about. That ought to lower my age down a little bit. I could have listened to more of The Last Dinner Party. I did really like that new album. Good night, Lynn. Honestly, it's about worth paying for Spotify just so you get the Spotify version, the Spotify Live version of The Life You Chose by Jason Isbell. It may be a virtual Find a Grave with this much snow, you're correct there. I'll see what I can find in the morning. Hear it everywhere you go, any time of day. Well, alright everybody. Thanks a lot. Thanks for kicking in the donations here during my slow season. But thanks everybody for joining me. I'm Adam from Mysterious Chicago Tours, telling you all to stay safe, stay strong, and of course, if you can, make every effort to stay spooky, everybody. Alright, thanks everybody. I'm Adam from Mysterious Chicago. See you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.